Good afternoon and welcome to our lesson where I would want us to talk about staffing. So, when you hear the word staffing, what should come into your mind? So basically, when you hear the word staffing, what you should think of is the HR, staffing. Yeah, so actually, it revolves around the HR. Remember, when maybe you're done with your studies, or some of us who are actually working, you were able to go through the staffing process. So, staffing process means the recruitment process. Okay, so what is the definition of staffing? Yeah, so we basically say it is a managerial function of recruitment, selection, training, developing, promotion, and compensation of employees. Yeah, so it is a management function. Yeah, because it is the management that decides they want this type of a staff, or they want to bring on board this kind of an employee. So staffing is a management function. Okay, so what is the definition of that? We say it is the process of identifying, assessing, placing, developing, and evaluating individuals at work. Yeah, so before you bring somebody on board, you have to identify. Yeah, how do you identify somebody? Or maybe you'll have placed an advertisement in the newspaper. So from the people who will make some applications, you should be able to identify suitable candidates. Okay, yeah, and once you've identified and you feel this person is suitable, you place them. Place them means you employ them. After employing them, what do? You can also train them. Yeah, you can train them on different areas of their career, and while they are still developing themselves, you can also compensate them in terms of giving them rewards. So staffing is a process. Yeah, because you cannot just employ somebody. You have to identify the best candidate. After identifying the best candidate, you interview them. Yeah, you place them means you hire them. After you've hired them, in case they have challenges, in case they need guidance, you appraise them. Yeah, you can recommend for some training, and when they do well, you compensate them in terms of reward. So staffing is very, very important. So we've got the definition of staffing according to Kant and O'Donnell. So where he says it involves the manuring the organization structure through proper and effective selection, appraisal, and development of personnel to fill the roles designed into the structure. Remember, we mentioned about the organization structure, which we say it is a way, it shows how an organization is managed. So some of these, not managed per se, but how some departments are correlated, and these departments are headed by people. So when you say that staffing revolves around the organization structure, from the organization structure you're able to identify gaps or missing positions, and then from there these positions are able to be filled. So why is it important to staff? So we say staffing helps in discovering and obtaining competent personnel for various jobs. So we staff because we want to get the best competent employees. That's why we bring on board. Okay, it also helps to improve the quantity and the quality of output by putting the right person on the right job. So when you have staffing, you're able to identify who is suitable for this kind of a job, and therefore they are able to be placed. It also helps in facilitating higher productivity performance by appointing the right person or the right man for the job. Okay, it also provides continuous survival and growth of business through development of employees. You know what happens when you bring people on board, when people are hired, these people come on board, they are trained, and therefore when they are trained, they are able to develop themselves, and when they develop themselves, they are also able to help the organization to be able to meet its objective. Okay, yeah, then now we've got a different definition of what we call the uh, recruitment. Okay, so we talk about recruitment, which we say it is a process of attracting candidates to fill the position in the organization structure. Yeah, so it's a process of identifying who is the best candidate. Yeah, and from there you help to fill the positions according to the organization structure. Yeah, so before you recruit, there's a requirement of positions must be identified. So before you place an advertisement, there must be a need for that person through the organization structure. Okay, so we say the term recruitment applies to the process of attracting potential employees of the company. Yeah, it is a process of searching for the best candidate, yeah, in terms of employment. So why is it important to recruit? So we recruit, perhaps maybe there is a transfer. Yeah, maybe somebody who was working in our department has been transferred to a different department, therefore there is a vacancy. Okay, you also uh, recruit to create vacancies due to expansion. Maybe our organization is growing, therefore there is a gap, and this gap has to be filled through a recruitment. So we've got two reasons or importance where we are able to recruit. Yeah, so what are some of the methods that are used for recruitment? Yeah, we've got the direct methods of recruitment, we've got the indirect methods, we've got third party methods. Yeah, so direct methods we say include traveling visitors to educational and professional institution, yeah, or people who had made some application and we have their CVs on our CV data bank. Then we've got the indirect methods, which includes advertisement in the newspapers, in the website, in the radio. Okay, then of course we've got the third party, which we refer to the use of commercial and private agencies. Yeah, sometimes the organization does not need to conduct the interview themselves. They give those services, or those services are carried out by an independent institution or an agency that acts on behalf of the organization. That's now what we call the third party method. Now those three methods of those of recruitment are very important for you to be able to know them. Okay, so we've got also what we call the sources of recruitment. Yeah, when you're recruiting, where do you get these candidates? So these candidates could be within the organization, or they could be outside the organization. Yeah, so internal sources means that people give preferences to people who are within the same organization. Okay, and external means people who are or people who don't work in the organization. So the external sources of recruitment include the direct recruitment, yeah, where we've got the HR department that is able to select the right employee. Okay, then you've got the recruitment through the jobbers or intermediaries. Yeah, so these are systems that or websites that have been kept on the internet for purposes of people dropping or writing or uploading their CVs and resume. Okay, then of course you've got advertisement through recruitment through advertisement through the newspapers. Yeah, then advertisement through recommendation. Somebody yeah, has done that work before, so you recommend them. Yeah, so you recommend a colleague or you recommend somebody who has been able to perform that particular task. Yeah, then of course you've got other methods like recruitment through from colleges or universities. Sometimes you'd get to find that people would send they would send their, like for example at KIPS, yeah, we receive a lot of a lot of requests for employment, yeah, because they know we are an institution and we have students who have pursued different careers. So they bring in their request saying that we have this position and we want to hire, so can you recommend some of your students to us? Okay, yeah, so what is selection then? So selection is now the actual choosing. I'm selecting. Yeah, when you select, you're choosing. So selection is the actual process of choosing the suitable person for that position. Okay, so what does this process revolve around? It revolves around the receiving the application. You have to send your application to us for us to be able to see, or to go through it to be able to see whether you're suitable for that position. Yeah, it also revolves around sending a blank application form. Yeah, sometimes you can have an application form that has been designed by the organization and candidates are given to fill in. Then we've got the preliminary interview, where we say the interviewer decides whether the candidate is suitable for the job. Okay, yeah, and then of course we've got the administration test, the achievement test, the aptitude test, etc. Then of course we got the checking references of previous years. So now this is very, very important, because sometimes employers want to know, they want to have a history of where you have performed or where you have worked before. So you have to give reference. So before they hire you, they have to go through your previous employment history for them to be able to know, is this person suitable? Then from there is now the actual interview, so where you meet face to face with the HR personnel for them to be able to interview you. Yeah, so we've got different types of interviews. We've got the direct interview, indirect interview, patterned interview, etc, group interview. There's also something, a stress interview. A stress interview is an interview whereby they will give you certain scenarios. Yeah, then from there they're able to pick, is this person capable of working under pressure? So they will give a scenario and they would want you to explain how you'd manage that scenario. That's what we call a stress interview. Okay, because there's a board of panel. So the board of panel is where you have got different people who come and sit and interview you. Okay, of course we've got the training and development, where we say training is very, very important for an employee. When you're hired, it is important for them or for an organization to see which areas do we need to train this employee so that they are able to maximize and give us best results. So we've got different types of training. We've got on the job training, as in when you're working, you're also being trained. And also we've got outsourced, off the job, where you go for seminars, you go for conferences, etc. So we say development is a continuous process. So when you say it is a continuous process, is because you cannot stop being trained. So people are developed through training. Okay, then you've got something called the performance appraisal. So what happens is, when you're working, as you continue to work, you might get an opportunity to meet with your supervisor, who could have identified different issues or different challenges that you're facing as you work. So he appraises you. He assesses you. So sometimes you see in an organization, they've got what we call an appraisal system. So maybe after having worked for 6 months, there's an appraisal. So your supervisor is able to go through your job description and to be able to identify where you are able to do well, where you are not able to do well, and also give recommendation on what needs to be done. That is what we call the performance appraisal. So this is a very important principle of management, and its main objective is to be able to help a manager to be able to decide the increase in pay. Sometimes when you're reviewed or when you are praised, it also means they would also review your salary. So it's also meant to determine the future use of an employee. It is also used to indicate any training needs that you think the employee might need. Okay, it also meant to motivate the employees to increase or to help in creating a desirable culture and tradition in the organization. Okay, so that is basically part of the staffing or the HR, and we've been able to identify what staffing is. What are some of the methods that are used, or why is it important to hire people? What are some of the methods that are used for recruitment, and why is recruitment important? We've also been able to see the different methods and sources of recruitment. We've also been able to see what we mean by selection and the selection process, and we've also been able to see on what it means to train and why training and development are very important for an employee. And we've lastly mentioned about the appraisal, where we say sometimes as the employee continues to work, it is good to be able to identify needs on areas where they would need training, where they would need to get a pay increment, where they would need to be motivated, etc. So I hope up to that point I am very clear. And now I'll go to the next video, where I want to talk about the human resource manager. Now this is the person who is responsible for the hiring. What are some of the qualifications? What are some of the roles? What are some of the duties and responsibilities of a human resource manager? Okay, so we'll see you in the next video. Bye.